Hello and welcome to The Chain, a series where one episode links to another by some means, whether that be the director, the composer, a word in the title, it could be anything. Last week we were having a look at Danny Elfman's score from The Corpse Bride, and this week we're linking via actress Jane Horrocks to the Memphis Belle, which was 1990 movie featuring a score by George Fenton. George hasn't actually appeared on The Chain before, so I'm very pleased to be introducing him to you. If you're not familiar with any of his music, he's particularly well known for the scores of the sort of BBC Natural World documentary series, things like Blue Planet, Planet Earth, Frozen Planet, that sort of thing. The ones that are narrated by David Attenborough, famously. But this particular movie is actually, I'm pretty sure to say, the second movie that I ever saw in the cinema. And therefore it had a pretty big impact on me. Interestingly, seeing a comment coming in there that felt the film was a bit meh. But I particularly love military aircraft and World War II history and things like that. So it had a pretty big impact on me. So I still love this film. And it's got a nice score as well. If you are here during the live stream, then do come and say hi in the live chat. It's lovely to be able to interact with you. So I'm going to say hi to Victor and Joseph, who are here already. And anyone else, I'll say hi as you pop up. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel, and if you enjoy this video, chuck a thumbs up on it, because then it will spread to more people. Now, usually on one of these sessions, those of you who come weekly, you'll know, but I do a note entry session and we put in as much of the queue as we can in the sort of 2-hour window roughly that I assign for these episodes. Today though is one of those rare occasions where I've finished the queue already in terms of putting all the notes in. Something I did for my YouTube channel before The Chain started, and I just had a look actually, and the video for that version is 5 years old. So it's quite interesting to revisit that Sibelius file and reformat it now with the 5 years more experience that I have, and some tweaks to my house style, things like that. Hiya Ken, good to see you. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to bring up not my template but my queue. We're doing the takeoff, the 25th mission queue. I'll show you the scene later on as well if you're not familiar with it, but this is all effectively done and dusted, but I wanted to show kind of when the notes have been put in, that is certainly not the end of the process from a publishing point of view. We may kind of get through this under time, shall we say, and then I might maybe have a look at parts layout, something like that. So we'll play it by ear and see what we have. It's not a huge orchestra, but if we have a look, we've got 3 flutes, 3 oboes, doubling English horn, 3 clarinets, doubling bass, 3 bassoons, doubling contra, 4 horns, 3 C trumpets. Has a slightly brighter sound, I believe, and many, particularly European concert orchestras, have their trumpeters play C trumpets these days, I think, as opposed to B flat. But they probably have both instruments and can be versatile either way, or slight transpose, whatever they do. 3 trombones, 1 on bass, tuba, timps. The percussion normally I split out per instrument, but this time I'm doing per player. So we've got 2 players, and you'll see that's going to dart around with the players moving from instrument to instrument. Piano, harp and strings. Nothing huge to talk about there. So the cue is orchestrated by Jeff Atmagian, a name you may be familiar with, particularly if you're a James Newton Howard fan, because those guys work together reasonably often. I think probably the best thing to do will be play this cue back as it is being handled by Note Performer right now, before we make any adjustments, so you can see what we've got. This, I should say, is my conducting score format. I kind of have 2 different layouts for scores depending on what their use is going to be. So for a conductor, considerations are that it's on European A3 size paper, which is slightly, I think, wider and less tall than the American equivalent size of paper, which is Ledger, I think, maybe. But it's a nice big size of page, so you can clearly lay out the score. Ideally, you want to show all instruments at all times, so that you don't have to kind of perform mental gymnastics every time you turn a page. What layout of instruments am I looking at now? Something which, well, I'll talk about study scores in a second. So yeah, a consistent vertical layout of instruments, and then in the old days of handwritten film score, you would have 4 bars per page. It's pre-printed paper. Occasionally an orchestrator would hand rule and split those into 8 bars, if they had pages of whole notes or something where they don't need that horizontal space so wide. But when you're handwriting, 4 bars per page usually. But now we're in the era of typeset scores. I tend to use 6 or 8 bars per page, depending on how busy they get, and you can cut that down accordingly. And I'll show you in a minute. Another consideration is phrasing breaks. So, if you, for instance, if this double bar into Eroico was a sensible place to actually split the page, then we could have 7 bars on that first page, for instance. Also, in the conducting score, using these huge time signatures, I'm not a huge fan of them myself, but they are very practical, particularly if you're setting out scores for recording sessions or short turnaround concerts, maybe 1 rehearsal and then go live. It's nice and clear what you're going to be beating and when. And depending on how big the orchestra is, here we've got basically they're at the beginning of each new instrumental section within reason. So definitely at the beginning of Woodwind, placed on top flute line, placed on top horn line for brass. Then I've got this one's placed on the timpani, so top percussion line, and then top violin line. If we had gajillions of percussion, and then maybe let's think of a Horner score or something with 4 pianos and 2 harps or something like that. It might make sense if you've got a big whacking gap in the time signatures to put one at the beginning of the keys section, or harps, whatever you've got there. You play that. I play that by ear a bit. So it's not a hard and fast rule, but certainly woodwind, brass, percussion, and strings is where I place those. And giving away all my secrets here, but hopefully give you a bit of an insight into my workflow and what have you. And kind of speaking of, you may have noticed Facebook and other places exploded a bit with the news this week of the demise of Finale, one of the kind of 3/4, if you include MuseScore, main music engraving notation softwares. And a lot of people have kind of gravitated towards Dorico because of a deal that they were doing, and that's the new kid on the block. But obviously I work in Sibelius, which I have done for a long time, longer than I'd like to think, and I would say it's certainly a viable option if you're considering what you might be doing if you're a Finale user right now. There are some really nice things that are quite useful if you're really familiar with Finale. Things like you can change this keypad layout so that it's basically the same as Finale's. So you have crotchets on 5, I think, on the numpad. There's literally a setting somewhere in the preferences where you just press and it just switches over, and there you go. And you can import XML files and do various things that requires a bit of tidy up, because XML doesn't carry all of the info you want, but importing files from another format like that is possible. I don't know what I'm promoting. I'm doing Avid's work for them, but there we go. Hi Michael. Don't worry. Good to see you. So yeah, anyway, we've not really had any music for a bit, so let's play this cue through and see what you think. you go. So, yeah, it sounds pretty good. There's a couple of moments in there that we can tidy up even further, I think. Just seeing Donnie come in there. Hi, Donnie, and hi, Curtis. Good to see you guys. So, seeing that run through like that, I don't know whether you kind of see these cues in the same way that I do when I see them running through. I sort of spot little things. I'm like, oh, that needs fixing, this needs adjusting. Things like, I mean, just even at this range of seeing the overview, I can see that slur there, for example, needs to be flipped above because of the mixed stem directions there as well, and there. Although potentially we could flip the stem. It all depends on what else is going on. So just for a second I'm going to undo those and we'll look at them more closely in a minute. And pagination, you know, this, so like where I was saying 8 bars or 6 bars, sometimes, you know, things get a bit too cramped, like this is, and it's also, you can see there's clearly a change in what's going on here on the last bar of the page, so that might be a good spot to put in a page break, bump it over here, and then again maybe split it down to the double bar there or something. You know, so we'll figure that out, and so we don't end up with 2 bars on their own as well. So we'll work our way through, I think, and see what we get. But yeah, that doesn't sound too bad. It sounded very loud. I was surprised. I wonder if this has got any kind of boost. There. No. Yeah, that's funny. It doesn't normally quite sound so bold. Maybe I've had some weird setting on. Never mind. Right then. So I guess first question is, are we going to put a page break in here? So I'm going to have a quick listen again. So yeah, I guess it kind of does make sense to put one there. So I'm going to bump that over. And I actually raised these a bit. Let's do that. Yeah, I raised them up a little bit to get over that Eroico marking, so I brought those back down again. So now that we've bumped that over, let's sort out this first page, anything we need to look at. So we've got here, the dynamics are a bit close to the stem down there, so I'm going to bring those down a bit. Again there, bring those down a touch. We start off with oboe 1, so we are going to want, hang on, let's just check. Yes, we do end up with 2, so we should have whole bar rests underneath that for the inactive oboe 2. Don't really need to restate the 1 there if we've got the rest underneath. That's clear. Continuation. In a minute it says A2. There. So that's the cancellation of it being in single part. Let's move those up a bit there. that will be fine. Because any slurs on voice 1 should be above. So that looks a bit better. Bring that down a touch. This is still colliding slightly, so let's bring it down even further. That's a bit close for comfort to those lower stems, so same deal there. That's now actually a bit too far away. So I do a lot of stuff using the rulers, you know, kind of help me spot where I want things. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. So here we've got horns are split in the kind of traditional classical orchestra arrangement of 1, 3 and 2 and 4. So you see here 2 is playing, 4 is resting, so we need those whole bar rests again. In theory you don't need them, but for ultra clarity it is useful to have them there, particularly so you don't then have to keep doing reminders on the page turns that one of the voices is resting. Harman is actually a brand, so that it should be capitalised, otherwise I would not. Take the mute out. I guess that's kind of mixed language notation, so we've said Harman mute, not consort, so I think you could say mute out or open. I think I'd rather put open over that. Like that. And you could put that over the rest. But I kind of prefer it over the note personally. That mixed stem direction, so it should be slur above. Hiya Kyle and Martin, good to see you guys. I've not used the latest version of Dorico, so it's probably not fair that, you know, I comment, but in my experience of what I have dabbled with, I feel like Dorico is geared towards making nice score and parts for composers. If you have a dedicated music prep team or person, then I would rate Sibelius over that. I don't think you should really be doing it yourself if you can afford to have someone do it for you who has the experience and knowledge of what to do. They'll invariably make a nicer looking score and parts for you than you'll do for yourself, I think. Yeah, there are certain niche things for engraving that Dorico doesn't do or doesn't handle very well yet, from what I've seen. there are things that Sibelius doesn't do well either, and I have developed a series of workarounds to figure out those. Right, here's another thing. Oh, you notice I changed the LV laissez vibraire there. We've got a new way of doing that in Sibelius since the 5 years ago that I did that, so I've just changed that over. Grand staff notation, the dynamic should be in the midpoint between the two staves, so adjusting that, just moving that away from the accidentals a bit. That's interesting. A little hidden crescendo there. Okay. Bring that up a bit because it's a little estranged from the note. And that's a bit estranged from the notes as well. We've got a plugin that's quite nice for putting the brackets perfectly in terms of its vertical design, so do that and then just place it. That's better, I think. It looks like, yeah, no, that is about the midpoint. Divisi there, that's fine. And that needs to go across there. See, all these little fixes are just going to make it look, not only look nicer, but actually be right. Following proper engraving rules. If you have not got one and you do music prep or have any aspiration of doing it, I highly recommend picking up a copy of Elaine Gould's Behind Bars. It's not a kind of hard and fast set of rules, but it's a good baseline for you. If you know what's in there as a kind of baseline, you can kind of choose to adapt and maybe bend some of the rules a little bit, but certainly a invaluable tool. Right, where do I want to put this motto? I think maybe at the end of that rather than in the middle of it. And I think I want to keep I'm going to try this out. So ordinarily you should keep dynamics aligned in a horizontal plane. So what I mean by that is these, you can see, is at the hairpins at 2.5 height from the staff should be the same as these, 4.25. Technically, to be technically correct. And you'll see visually, that's perhaps less distracting, but it's then a bit further away from the notes than it needs to be. So what I tend to do is bring it up one whole notch, so it's still below the default position, but it's less of a step change from where the dynamics were there, and it's slightly less distracting then. Okay, so we've got a nice looking first page, and everything will play back nicely. Harm and mutes will be recognised by Note Performer on playback. Not that that's any kind of critical thing to be thinking of when you're laying out a score, but it just will. And then it will go back to open again. That's nice. So there we go. Let's play the first page. Where it's sensible to put the page split, probably just before the 3/4. Bring that 9th bar in here. Let's see how that affects the layout of the page 2 there. You know, does it make it too squashed on horizontal spacing? If you've got lots of accidentals or lots of 16th notes, something like that, it may do. I'm not seeing anything too crushy, maybe in the trombones there. We've got some rests that need sorting out here. I think having 9 bars on that page will actually fit quite nicely, so we'll paginate that to the phrase. Is the next link Dave Grusin's Goonies? It's not, actually. I can't remember if I did the Goonies on the chain. I think I did, because I published the plumbing cue a while back. Hi Max, greetings from Costa Rica. Oh, yeah. Very pleased to have you. Thanks for joining. Yeah, Michael, I saw the thing about Asmac Zoom session. I think it's about going from finale to Dorico, which I find mildly frustrating that there's so much press about that being kind of a given, or in a tone that suggests that you should go from finale to Dorico. Yeah, I think there are alternatives. For some people, it actually makes sense to go to Muse score. But there we go. But no, next link is not the Goonies. In fact, I'll tell you, the link is via the actor John Lithgow. So that should narrow it down a bit for you. I'm going to put something in here which is just for playback reasons. I'm putting hour 1, which is unnecessary to show on the score, so I'm hiding it. But that's going to make this, cancel out this A2 for the flutes when it gets to this point. In terms of playback, there is actually a difference in the sound between paired flutes and that, so that sound nice and correct, and it will actually affect the overall playback sound, so hopefully you'll be able to notice and tell the difference. Just extending that. So one of those engraving rules, slurs to tied notes should go to the end note, unless it's maybe, let's say you're going to slur to whole notes that you've got, 4 bars of whole notes tied together, or more, pages and pages of notes tied together. Then you just slur to the first one. But in a situation like that, slur to the last note. Dynamic positions are all fine there. This is a bit low, high even, sorry. Okay, so I want those to be aligned. Those two. Maybe I'll do a half step down. You won't notice so much. So we've got all these breath commas in the bassoon here. I want to try something out. These are just placed freeform, but I've created a line similar to hairpins and pedal lines, things like that. I'll show you how I did it. So in the lines menu, you can do this drop down and you get all the full list. But if you use the little arrow in the corner, you can select a line, and in this case I selected pedal, it was that one actually, pedal lift final, because it was going to create a full line with a hook on the end. If you select new, it will use that as a basis for creating a new one. So I changed the name, comma, breath, something like that. Change the solid line to 0 width spaces, which then, let's just change that in a second. You see that greys out because the line becomes non-existent. And then you can change, put an object at the beginning of a line, in the middle of the line, continuation, and at the end of the line. So like with the pedal lift, it's a hook. What we want to put there is a symbol. So then you select symbol and you can put anything you like there. And I chose comma. Where's that gone? It is probably down in the user created bit. No. Interesting. Where's it gone? There it is. And I've made one for caesura as well, which is useful for percussion damping. So what that's going to do, hopefully, if I apply it to this note, is place a line over the note that goes the full length to the next note and then places our symbol at the end of it. So we'll have a nicely positioned comma like that. And we can adjust the height of that. So like right now, that's higher than what we had in before. You can either do that manually, or if we go into the appearance, design and position, lines, so we've created this breath comma line, and at the moment it's set to be 5 points above the middle staff. So we want it to be 3, I believe. So there it ends up 1. Reset position. There we go. So now I can put this line in, and even though you see the distance between these is not consistent because of probably some semis or something down here, because of these notes, the distance between these crotches is not consistent. It's a bit of a bugbear of mine. And I know it's something where other publishers will manually respace these so that they are even But then you start breaking things like this, the vertical alignment, that this beat 2 comes here in all parts. When you get down in the weeds, so okay, maybe the right thing is to have that amount of space between this crotchet and that one to accommodate these, in which case you spread these ones out. And then do you get silly wide bars? What do? Do you narrow these? Decisions. But anyway, going back to this, here we've not got a consistent width of where the comma would come, the gap between notes. So if I just use the symbol on its own, using the symbols menu, comma, it's attaching to the note itself. And then what I used to have to do is basically nudge it to the left until it was in the right position. Now, using this line, just attached to each note, it will always position just before the next note sounds. What you may want to do is that where we want it to come before the bar line. See, this is I'm kind of figuring this out myself too. Yeah. But that will now be a nice consistent way of putting them in. Yeah, Curtis, you're absolutely right. It's kind of which thing annoys you more. Pick your battles. But you can spend a god-awful amount of time picking over things and maybe doing them and undoing them and redoing them. Sometimes you can spend hours on one page. So here, yeah, you see I'm kind of debating, do I flip the note stems here? I think I do. Prefer that. To the alternative. That's all good. That's fine. If a little bit close, that's fine. Right, we'll go. Yeah. Oh, here's a good one. Right, so one of the things that's kind of tricky to handle is the magnetic layout system that Sibelius has, which basically tries to you can define things which should be avoided in terms of collisions and things like that. So like here you can see slurs are set to avoid accidentals, but that does mean that you can either get weirdly placed slurs, in this case, that are a long way estranged, the anchor points, the ends are a long way estranged from the note heads, or you get a strange curvature to them because they're going yoink out of the way of the accidental. So what I tend to do is turn off the magnetic layout on those, then you get a collision, but you get a better curve, and then figure out placing it so that it doesn't intersect. Certain things you actually can intersect and cross through, so like a flat symbol, you can actually cut through the kind of stem of the bee. If you go right through the centre of it, it's still clear to read. Let's do that. Perhaps I'll be able to show you that in a bit. So we've got some kind of dynamic there. Yeah, it's a hairpin. So let's look at the manuscript for that bar, which is bar 11. It should be actually that. So something went a bit awry with the placement of that. So I knew that there was a hidden hairpin there because there was a ruler marking, position marking, but nothing visible. C trumpets again. That position is okay. This is going to come down here. So I came down another couple just to avoid the tip of the F of the forte there. I'm going to do the same here. So looking at that stem down and the F, that's about a good distance. These guys still need to come down a touch more. So I'm still conscious of that kind of written rule of the dynamics should be on the same horizontal plane. But because we've got this gap of a bar there, it's not hugely noticeable that there's a step change. You could potentially put it in here, in fact. Like that, bring those a touch closer to the notes. Because, I mean, for readability, basically, you want the pertinent information to be not too far from the notes, because you're looking at the notes and you want to pick up all the information you need around the note, but without obscuring the notes and accidentals and things like that. So here we've got more commas that I want to just adjust. I'm going to highlight those bars and then filter for symbols so that I can just take them out in one go. I'm going to, where did they go? Ah, there. I'm just going to grab that line there. Yeah, no, I didn't want you to play back, thank you. I wanted... Ooh, where have we jumped to? Next page, right. I want you to go there. Okay, so you can see we need to adjust very slightly to either come before the tenuto line or maybe go up a notch as well. I mean, we could do both of those just to give it some separation. Okay. Oh yeah, we had those rests in the upper trombone part that we need to move. Here I'm going to whack those onto tails down. Don't need these additional rests. That does mean that there's a bit of a overlap there, so we'll do that. Get rid of you so I can see the chat again. What have I missed? What have I missed? Is it Bruce Broughton's Harry and the Hendersons? No. I've got 1 or 2 cues from that. At some point we should do that. That's a great score. Copyright more to pharmaceutical music. Yeah. Oh yeah, I've not got down to the bar numbers. I'll fix that though. Thanks. Hiya Darren. Good to see you. I'll fix that bar number now. Actually, I'll do them all. So just triple click to highlight all bars, filter for bar numbers, and then reset position. That should do it. There you go. Okie dokie. Right. Tips. Move the molto towards the end of that crescendo. So we need a reminder just to say that snare drum, particularly important because we've listed these as percussionists rather than specific instrumental lines. So there we're on Grand Casa, bass drum, and then we're going to switch to suspended cymbal, back to Grand Casa, and over to Tam Tam. This guy's going to be running around the back line having fun. So I am going to change that notation just from how we used to do it a long time ago. Not necessary anymore. There we go. Also, I like to put susp rather than just sus symbol. Also, being the first instance that this appears, I'm going to use the full name rather than the abbreviation. So pop in there, susp, 5 line. 5 line suspended cymbal. And that is going to go on the C line with that style of note head. Hide the instrument change kind of background thing. Don't need that. So now the inevitable question. Even though this was created 5 years back, any chance this ends up in the shop? Yes, but no. I'd like it to, but since Warner Brothers merged with Discovery, the acquisition, whatever that was, their licensing has been a bit of a up in the air thing. It's not available to license right now for sale, but as soon as it is, yes, I'll put it on sale. Oof, yeah, I know. Last guess from me, Shrek. It's not Shrek, I'm afraid. I haven't done Shrek on the chain actually, that would be a fun one. So I'm using these 5-line variants now of the percussion instruments when I do the changes. When we're using the same staff for multiple percussion instruments, particularly if it's changing from tuned percussion to untuned, unpitched, where unpitched you can run on a single staff line, just the middle line, and that looks quite elegant. If you're switching between 1 and 5 staff lines, or maybe 3 in some cases, then that jumping around gets a bit distracting. So if you can keep everything on a 5-line layout, that's much more preferable when you're doing this conductor score. Again, you're trying to be helpful and not distracting. So here again, that's a first time the tam-tam's used, so I'm going to use the full name. Tam-tam. Just bring that back there. Ordinarily I'd centre it over the note, but don't really want to run beyond the bar line, so what I might do is just bring that pianissimo backwards a bit, give ourselves a little bit more hairpin. That's going to go to the sforzando, which I want to Z on because I just do. And I'll tackle that next page in a second. Okay. So here, because we had the full name of Gran Casa before, using the abbreviation now is fine. It's on a different line from the suspended symbol and with a different note head type as well, so it should be nice and clear when that's been playing. Centre that. Going to bring that up a bit because it's quite a long way from the notes. That's too close. That needs to go down to the bottom note. Okay. Just move that away from the ledger lines a bit. What else? Ooh, can I narrow it down a bit for you, Victor? We're going into 2 weeks of a James Horner double bill on the chain. I'm going to include Noble in that. So that's one element. Divisi there, it's fine. Ooh, Spiderwick. It is not Spiderwick. We'll do Spiderwick one day. That's an interesting score. There we go, Ken, you're on it. Yeah, next week we're going to have a look at the Pelican Brief. Okay, there we go. So there's another page down. Oh yeah, Darren might have missed that. It came in a bit later. I think we've linked via John Lithgow before, you know. Maybe it was when we did Cliffhanger, maybe? He's in a series on FX, which is shown on Disney Plus over here, that is returning soon. I recommend, if you've not seen it, it's called The Old Man with Jeff Bridges. The River Wild. I was thinking about that earlier on, actually. That's not a bad score. Can never go wrong with a bit of Goldsmith. I'm just wondering whether forte piano is actually defined in our playback dictionary. So I'm going to have a look. No. So I'm going to have a quick look at forte piano. I'm going to duplicate that. SFP, and move that down. It's kind of annoying that you have to click it one at a time. Wouldn't it be nice, Avid, if you put a sort alphabetically option in this menu? Right, SFP, there we go. And I'm just going to compare Sforzando is a dynamic attack of 200% of the current dynamic. So I'm going to keep it the same as a forte piano, but I'm going to put that as let's say 105. Don't want to go too high because in case there's a fortissimo piano or something like that. But that should now actually trigger a playback response when that is hit. Interestingly, spotting a mismatch essentially between these two dynamics. So let us check the manuscript. Wow, what have we got here? Vacation's over. Vacation's over. The cue. Is that for, or is that a score? I don't recognise the title. That is bar 24. Should be clarinets. Right, so upper woodwind is marked forte piano and lower wind is marked forte piano and sforzissimo. That matches trumpets. There's a real mixed bag. I don't think I'm going to editorialise that and clean it up because it's mixed across the board. We've got two rests there we don't need though. Hide those. Always hide unused rests, don't delete them because it's a real pig getting stuff back. When you go to make parts, you'll have bars with, let's say, it starts with a quaver, and then you've deleted the rests, so you've got a blank bar. When you go to separate out the voices, you create more work for yourself, so just hide rests that you're not using, like these two here. So I'm just going to whiz through and tidy up some of these. I better not do that together, do that like that. So if I try and explain everything as I do it, then we won't get through it. Okay, so here we were, we've not defined that, I think that's voice 1 to start with. Trumpet 1, horn, interesting. There must be a continuation of being A2. So then it goes to 1, which is the second voice, so we're going to change that to voice 2 and put whole bar rests above. Also, to change the playback response, put in a hidden A1. Same here, using the wavy line, the tilde symbol. Anything after that is hidden, so we keep that as one element. Then it goes back to our 2 for the above part, that's fine. I want that to be one element, so F.J. It's just easier for editing later on if those are actually one thing rather than 2. Is that default? Yeah, okay. So then, that's voice 2. And then goes to voice 1, so we need a whole bar rest under there. Then we get that, that's fine. So here again the A2 splits here. In fact, because that note is restated in the lower part, I'm going to put the split there, 1, hide. Just double check that that is what that happens there in bar 24. 24 upper horns. That's a C score, yeah. D. Oh, it's bar 20. What? I lost a bar somewhere or gained a bar. I'll check my bar numbers in a minute. So it's 25 in the manuscript. D. One, 3. What is going on? It's not what I'm looking at all. That's what happened. Somebody messed up placing the time signature changes. Oh no, this is going to be fun. So, bugger. That is not there. Comes there. Oh, this is going to mess everything up. Do I want to see? Yes. Oh, we really screwed it up. You really screwed it up. Let's try saying no to that. No. That's still for... it's real. Oh, I really have screwed it up. Oh, bugger. Right, okay. Okay, fix. Insert a bar of 4/4. Do yoink. Not quite sure how I managed to do that. Never mind. Right. So everything from there to the end. Oh, it's going to be all messed up again. Such a pain. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Right. This is when I was transferring it over to my new format. I've obviously missed out a bar somewhere. Okay. Yes, thank you. Still having those mouse issues. Okay. It's not the end of the world. Right. 4/4. There. To there. That, I think, is more like it. And so, it makes sense to put in a split there, I think. So either we want to try and squeeze another bar in here, which might be a bit much. Let's see. Because of the 2 time signature changes, these giant time signatures do take up quite a lot of horizontal space. So squidging an extra bar in plus 3 time signature changes on the page might be a bit much. Let's see if we get any horizontal collisions with accidentals. We might get away with it, because that's definitely where the whatchamacallit, page turn should come, I think. Yeah, we will do that. Oh, saved. Okay, saved. Not too bad. Why not share stems on a lot of this? The Gauntlet Cue from the Riverwild. Yeah, Riverwild will be a way off because I don't have any reference material for that, although I know where it is. Just don't have it. Maybe not a lot, but there were a couple of instances where V1 and 2 had the same rhythm for a while, but were stems up and down. Might have been, just for clarity, rather than having them jump between shared and not, if there are any unisons. I'll take a look at that in a minute. Thanks for drawing my attention to it. Okay, so we don't need a voice 2 there. So this is probably carryover stuff from where we had the wrongly positioned bar lines. So let's just do layout, no, position. Was already our one. So yeah, actually here we do need a voice to rest. Voice 1 on its own. So that's one I want to check. That's the bar 24 that we were looking at before, where I couldn't recognise. Why is this? That's interesting. So either there's a stem missing, or yeah, doubly interesting. There are some markings that were kind of obscured that I've not put in here. So that is actually hand stopped as well. Well, it's not. It's a funny. Yeah, it's definitely there. But it's not in the lower horns part. Yeah, so there's no stem down on this note, whereas there is here. I wonder if that's just an oversight. I kind of feel like it might be because of this one here. So I'll do that. I don't want a clef change there. Yeah, so what I think they've done is in this bar where we've got the tails up and down unison note, they've then kind of said we are now in A2, and this has been beat 1 is A2 without actually putting A2 or stems up and down. but because we have yeah, so it alternates. I'm going to flesh this out a bit, and I'm going to switch that to stems down. Same here, and I'm going to add in which takes up a bit more vertical space, but yeah, okay. Oh, fun. Okay, so you see here, you get upper horns go open, stopped, and then open again. It's not marked, but then this is open and it's reversed, open and stopped in the lower horns. For clarity, it might be worth putting the circle, the open, I just didn't mean to do that, I meant to do that, symbol like that, and like that, but I don't know, stop doing that, geez. Too far from the note. That can come up. What's okay? Do you kind of see what I mean by how it can become a bit distracting if the dynamics jump around a lot? We could do that stems up. Or stems down, I guess, here. And then we could bring those dynamics more this way. Yeah, I think we're going to do that. I don't really like going A2, A1, A2, A1, you know, so like just using single stem and putting A2 on that and then going back to split and then back to A2 again. Not a huge fan of that. It's kind of situational, just, you know, suck it and see which way works best at the time. But I'm going to do that. I could do the same there. Not a huge fan of that. Not a huge fan of that either. It's only because of the additional markings that forces this down. Yeah, I'll keep it for now. Mixed languages again, so I'm going to put mute. And I guess we can put that over a note rather than over the rest. That should be a whole bar. This is all clean up from that misplaced bar line. That's better. We don't need that. Later on in this cue there's some cello divisi that requires 2 staves, but not yet. Ooh, 9:30. Wow, we have not made a huge amount of progress. This is certainly the most time-consuming part of the process, and if I'm honest, the one I'm not, I don't enjoy hugely. It's very time-consuming. Why am I flipping these? Well, because here you got tails up, going to tails down, going to tails up again, going to tails down, so being more consistent basically. The middle line notes can go either way, tails up or tails down, so you kind of look at what's either side of them and be consistent. I did not mean to put a... This is another reason that I'm not a huge fan of giant time signatures, is on the staves where there is not a time signature, you end up with whole note rests that look weirdly right shifted in the bar. If that makes sense to you. Oh, look at that, my mouse is cut out. A wired mouse that just keeps disconnecting because some dodgy Windows update has messed around with my USB controller. Let's put that into a different port. It's alive! Right, and missing loads of chat. Missing sports center on beat 2 of the 3/4 measure in contra precision. We'll see. Let's see. Contributing. Possibly. Let's see, that is bar 24. Put that way up there. 24. Not according to the manuscript, but that could just be a typo in the manuscript. Though bassoon is a little bit, contrabassoon is a little bit of a heavy sound, so maybe they don't want to add it then, add it sforzandoing on the second of those statements to give it that extra push, possibly. So this molto seeing here, oh well, we didn't quite get down that far, I don't think. But it's obviously a crescendo molto, but we haven't got enough space to show it's obviously a crescendo on this note, I think. Yes, it is. So what I'm going to do is actually break my rule from earlier. I've got enough space here to actually shift those over to the right beyond the bar line. But I'm going to do them all to the same position so that they are kind of at least consistent. That gets played there, that's fine. We've got another. So I could actually put that, make it straddle the bar line. And cut through it. That looks a bit better. Okay, so here's a case for flipping the stem, because we've got upward stems there, and then that just needs to be, oops, come on, minimum, because that was caused by the bar line being in the wrong place. So again, does that. What's that? That is to. What bar is that? 23. Am I going mad? Am I going mad? What is going on here? No, that's the contribution. That should be that. Yes, better. That's more like it. That should be that. All that by a misplaced bar line caused. Okay. Great fun. Okay. Where am I putting all this stuff? No. Made a rod for my own back, didn't I? All in line, good stuff. Yeah, no dynamic on that. Right, okay, so percussion, well, we got 3 lines, let's get rid of that one. Snare drum, tam-tam, and that's switching to, still tam-tam, so we're going to move that. There. That. Oh, okay. Yep. Yep. Default, okay. So this is, we are now getting into a bit of that situation where I was saying, you know, things might be a bit too squidged. We're just on the borderline, you know, like especially there. Now that's getting a bit tight horizontally. We might find though in a second, if I do that and that, yeah, that doesn't really help us a lot yet. Some of our respacing may actually buy us some horizontal spacing, but so far that's pretty tight. Still legible, but perhaps a touch tighter than we'd like. So here we've got a divisi, or maybe not. That is certainly playable as that is not so comfortably, but could be in third position. Yeah, I'm going to put a bracket on those to say non-divisi. That's actually not in the manuscript. But it doesn't say divisi in the manuscript either. So I'm going to remove any ambiguity. If we're going to pass this to players, you don't want any ambiguity on the stand. So I believe we've got another tidied page. That took a bit longer than I'd like, but yeah, that looks quite presentable. Maybe that can come up a smidge. One other thing one might want to do is align the staves on the pages, facing pages. Sometimes the spacing won't really allow it, but you can say, let's highlight there, you could say align the left pages staves with the right, so that they just read across nicely, or vice versa. And that is there. Yeah, why did it not do that? Yeah, so like right pages with left. Maybe you need system selected. Why are you not doing it? Because I've got the lock format on. Oh, that's weird. It normally you can normally see it shift in real time so they will line up. There must be. Oh, Jesus Christ. Alright, thank you for the real time proofreading. Yeah. So the actual spacing between the notes, because of the markings we've got, is dictating the fact these don't align and won't align nicely without turning off the magnetic layout. Right, what am I looking at? Measure 22. Horn 1 and 2. What? 2. Slow on the wrong side of horn 1, 2. Yeah, that. Okay, thank you. Yep, good spot. Well spotted, that man. And yeah, that can mean we can bring those dynamics up a bit. Nice. Thank you. Do we have another page we can play then? Let's have a listen. No, it doesn't say what type of mute, it just says swords. So usually in that case I think it's just a standard straight mute. It does specify at the beginning of the cue Harmons, but that sound on the playback is a straight mute, and I think that's what I would expect from my memory of the recording. So going across to the next page, we are not going to make it to the end of this cue, unfortunately, because I waffled so much and had to fix a couple of issues, but you can see this is now too tight, so we are definitely going to have to split this in less than 8 bars. So let's have a listen to it and just spot whether we're going to put it here, which is the most likely, I think. Chop off 1 bar, or we're going to maybe even make it a 5 bar page and cut at the double tempo. See, I don't really like the idea of cutting here. That spaces that fairly widely, but yeah, not too bad. And then I think, what if we then cut at the... See, we don't really want to do a tempo change, like going half tempo on a page turn. We could put it there. 2 pages of 5. Because there's a double bar there. And then that's much nicer space. So we get a 10 bar spread. Like that. I'm going to put it there, or there. Put it there. So add to. So here we've got now 1 on the last note there. Just double checking back here, we were 2 on our clarinets, we were not, then we were, that's fine. Just making sure that wasn't a superfluous A2 marking. For some reason this may be better, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I guess you're right. There is some ambiguity as to what mute type. I think what I would do is listen to the recording just to be certain before actually marking that in as a straight mute. But I'm reasonably sure from my memory sound that it is. Right, so that is requiring rest. That is super. Notes are not superfluous. Clef is. That can be that. Actually, is that? Where's my 5/4 bar? There. So horns 4/4. Yes, that, and then. So really, what that is that, but it's not been notated in that way. Oh, not handy. All these. What is that? Smezzo forte. Smezzo piano. I think at this point they're making up new dynamics. So I guess what they mean is MP with a slight push. Yeah, I think that's just it's becoming a bit silly. SMP sounds like a political party. I think with the accent that's fine. is a lazy vibrator. Smurf. Yeah. Confirmed the existence of Smurfs. Right. Oops. Okay, so that should have been switched to suspended symbol on that. Well, we're going to struggle for space there, aren't we? It's about the best we can manage, I think. Damn. Sorry, titivating. Don't really need that. I suppose we could. That's all good. Yeah, that does need to be down. In base curve. Better. Honking great gap there is for them. Okay. Unfortunate. These guys down there. Sorry, I'm trying to whiz through a bit and fix layout without explaining everything I'm doing, just so we can get these last page or so done. And I'll completely finish it off and put a nice video up on the channel later in the week, I guess, when I've finished doing it. And as Ken asked earlier on, and if you missed me saying, unfortunately I'm not able to put this on sale or make it available for study immediately because of some licensing stuff going on. But I will make it available as soon as I can. But I'll put it in video format straight away, so you can enjoy it that way. So I whiz through, yeah, let's just blast through this right hand page and then let's just do, when I do this so we get it absolutely spot on. Nice. Oh, that's weird. I wonder if that's because I did them together. Oh, interesting. Kind of expected that to be placed a bit more to the right, but okay, that's obviously trying to avoid that. Yeah, manually nudge it in a bit. No more dynamics there. So we've got double snares. Let's just double check that. 31. Yes, 2 lots of snares. Fun, fun. I'll actually show this with the scene in a minute. If you're not familiar with the movie, actually just pop in the chat and say if you haven't seen the film. Be interested to know. Now I'm going to change that back to the original design. There we go. Should be slowed under and can change direction. Oh yeah, I really recommend it. It's got a surprisingly recognisable cast. Matthew Modine, Billy Zane, Sean Astin, Harry Connick Jr. we got Q's in the... Oh, I see, it's marked as Q, so I'm going to keep that in. That is curious. What is that? And that's the weird change to voice to thing. Bassoon should be accented all the way through, I think. No! No! Oh, fudge. Okay. Guess where our 5/4 comes. Right. That would be why that did that. That's curious. And then into 5/4. Okay. Such pain. Right. I shouldn't have gone onto this page now, should I? Right. To that. To pick 3. To instrument change. Flute. Well, I guess this gives you a nice true picture of the editing process and how it can go. Of course, normally I wouldn't be converting from one format to another. We wouldn't have this kind of issue. But yeah, that's a pain. Stop it. Right, now let's figure out what's going on here. So tempo doppio happens there. And then it goes to 5/4. 2 bars of 5/4. Yeah. Hopefully. I think it adds up. Then a bar of 4, then a 5, then a 4. And then our tempo. What a mess. So is that back? Where's the 4/4? Da 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 da. I think if I chop that, put it there. Double bar comes there. That. That's better. But we didn't want to have the doppio over there, so we did it there, didn't we? Oh, what fun. Talk amongst yourselves while I sort out this mess. Can you put slurs on these grace notes? Interesting tempo doppio. Yeah, there should be grace notes there. Doo doo doo. Ah, no. No. Obviously hadn't quite clicked on the note. Oh, what fun. Okay, we can do that. Let's get this in shape and then we'll play some music. It's been a while, hasn't it? Okay, I want to rejig this 5/4. So we've obviously got 2 and a 3. 1, 2. Da, 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 da. Yeah, I think a 2 and a 3. So, do that. Don't want those beamed together. Do not want those beamed together either. Otherwise that's confusing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same there. We have no sound on that snare. Because we haven't had an instrument change. Better. Okay, I think we could be there. After all that. So we'll have nice layout up to page 5 and then maybe some slightly questionable layout for the last 3 pages when I do the playback in a minute. But yeah, I'm quite happy with how that's gone. Hopefully, you know, I've been able to pass on some insight into my process and mentality of how I'm approaching the work of editorializing and handling layout. I hope you found that interesting anyway. Yeah, control click, interesting. Thanks, Carl. I'm just going to try something like control click all those, hit enter and edit at the same time. Isn't that what I just did? Yeah, I think that's what I just did. Unless I'm going mad. That's what I intended to do anyway. What I was thinking, what I would normally do actually is filter for them, select all, but I don't want to pick up the ones where we had like SF and something not Z on the end, like SMF or whatever it was. wanted to be a bit more deliberate about which ones I was changing. Yeah, like there. Otherwise, my normal process is just find and replace, essentially. I'm just going to do a quick change without too much messing with the layout on some of these, so we get a half decent looking finished product. What else was I looking at over here? That. And oops, oh my word. Actually, here's I was mentioning earlier about intersecting the stem of a flat symbol. God, I can't think. And that's what I'm talking about there. You can kind of run through it as long as it's... Ideally, you want to go through the middle of it, so that's not kind of perfect, but you could perhaps do that. Or if, you can live with it that way. But it might look better than the default position, which is above, like that. I'm not going to faff with that, because I'm not going to fix these last 2 pages completely right now. I'm just going to quickly whack in those over to the end. It's just like speed tidying, like speed dating, only not as fun. Speed score tidying. Going on there, that should probably do that. Competitive Excel. Oh my god. Okay. Like I said, I'm not fixing these last few pages perfectly, I'm just doing them quickly now. And our double bars and things are probably in the wrong place. So I've got to fix all that. I'm thinking Maestoso, fresh page. So what we've got here, 8 plus 4, so let's split that there like that. Very quick and nasty. That's ugly as hell. You want that kind of angled between the two. I'm not going to even attempt to fix that right now because that would be slightly time consuming. Yeah, not particularly nice. Better. Oh, I wish that dialog box wouldn't come up. It didn't used to. It's really annoying having to keep closing it. Yeah, good enough. This is where we get the divisi celli. So that's quite nice that that happens on the next page. In fact, you could, in theory, do that and share it between the staves. Share the marking. What's this? Next molar and Nam. Yeah, that would be awesome. Competitive score prep. I think they do something like that at some kind of oh, what is it? It's not Berkeley or somewhere like that. But they did a thing where they gave everyone the same piece of music to was it edit or engrave from scratch? But they had an hour or something to do it. That was quite fun, and they were all pro engravers. There's a video of it on YouTube, I'm sure. Definitely seen it. Full bows is a technique marking, so that's going above. It's not an expression text thing, so I'm ditching that. And then that doesn't obscure our hairpins. Could that not be a continuation hairpin? Don't know, we'll fix that in post. we'll fix it when we figure out what's going on there. Maybe split that, don't know, or raise it above the treble clef. Not fixing that now. Okay, so we have 11 bars here. I'm going to put the page break there. So we now have a fairly decent looking page spread for the last 2 pages as well. Happy with that. Although our time sig changes might be in the wrong place. Seems improbably high. I'm not going to fix it now though. Did we go back to flute? We did go back to flute, so I'm going to do that. Sorry, I know we're overrunning a bit, but it's quite nice to have it looking decent. I'm just going to take a very quick comfort break and I'll be right back. And he's back in the room. When scores use SF and SF said differently. I think it's just a case of people including the Z or not, isn't it? It's just, I don't know if they actually intend it to mean a different thing. Where is my maestoso? Maestoso there. This split hairpin, I'd be kind of inclined to join that. I don't know why they felt it necessary to separate it, as in like this. Yeah. I'll stick with what's in the manuscript. And then that improbably high. Yeah, it is not like that. It's not with an octave line, so that's fine. We'll keep that. Oh, right, so yeah, here we've got, we want 5-line tam-tam. So you see what I mean about not jumping around between single staff and 5-line. So that we want on there, like that. You are an LV. You are superfluous. Oops. Is that in the right place? This is bar 48. Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, this dotted minute was kind of superfluous as well. You could just put a lacy rib on that. SFFF, yeah, good one. That is no way going to have anything in the playback dictionary for that. But what I am going to do is put FFF in, so it definitely plays loud. That goes to Grand Casa, so we want that. Notes on bass drum. Yeah, well, I don't think we want that in there. Gradually losing it. Question is, did he ever have it? Don't like that. Yeah, it's kind of handy having the hidden dynamics like that. And that is superfluous. Do that though. So that 3/4, does that come at the right point on the D? Yes. Double bar line before the B flat, yes. Last two bars, 4/4. Finally, time signature changes in the right place. Any little things to fix? Not big things. vertically. Okay, we don't have a sound for Tam Tam Scrape. That is superfluous. That is LV. Don't have a sound for suspended cymbal scrape either. So that is kind of completely superfluous, and so is the dynamic change really on the suspended cymbal. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to take those out. I am going to change those to an LV. And if anything, just put damp there. Take that out. Then I'm just going to put a line in, like a gliss, but just kind of show graphically what we're thinking. Just scrape with a metal beater, a triangle beater, something like that. So, because there's no kind of facsimile sound we can use for the scrapes, I'm just going to leave them as not playing back anything. And those can go there, like that. We are just about there, I think. Again, how do you diminuendo on that? You just let it ring. So I'm going to do that. That obviously can dim, although you'd be playing those as alternating Cs, I dare say, not just with both thumb and pinky at the same time. You'd be rolling that. What do we have? Okay, I'm going to disassociate that so they can go up. Same for that, although they're down anyway, so that's fine. Seeing as that's tooty like that, I'm tempted to go like that. And just keep that line the way it is. Happy? I think we're happy. Happy enough. Yeah. Let's go with that, shall we? Right. Yeah, let's see how Note Performer handles that. We should actually now have more percussion in because it wasn't registering the instrument changes for that. So let's see how it sounds. Let's do this and then that. Yeah, nice. Just noticing things as we're going along, as always do. Just more and more things, and this is why we have a rigorous proofreading process at the end of everything to make sure we haven't missed anything. So this is far from complete right now. Like, why is that unhappy? Yeah, because it's got that under it. So what that really is you are piano up there, like so. Always little things to fix. No, wrong tab. And what else did I spot? A little something, but we'll go back over this, particularly the last few pages. Also, a critical thing to do is an audio check. So for that, what I tend to do is use the built-in mixer things that will actually solo things by section. You can see here, no, you cannot see there because it hasn't got it on there. No, that's not the one. It's that. You have faders per instrumental section, so you could just solo wind, woodwinds, brass. And when you've got dense orchestration like this, it's really, really good to just listen through to the strings, just listen to each section and listen out for bum notes, because I mean, there was something early on in this one where I was like, am I hearing a rub there? It's much easier to zero in on something when you start cutting it down. Yes, that's the other thing. So that's that I wanted to do. Right, other than that, I'm not going to do any more to it tonight. What I'm going to do is export it to a PDF. And then, unlike normal, I'm not going to run it with the audio from the soundtrack. I'm going to run it with the scene. So, to do, remove that from the playlist. Do add that to the playlist. Stop that for a second. So what I might do is, instead of running it a 2-page spread like I normally do, I'll do a single page and have the scene over here. Or will I? Maybe I'll just overlay it. I'm just thinking out loud here. Like that. So let's do playback. Hope you more interface. Always on top. And that. So is that really annoying that it's covering that bottom corner of the score? Well, I suppose I've got some black space. What I could do is, that's funny. Come here, come mouse. do is click on you, do that. Oh, yeah, that is really, really annoying. Size, no. I don't want it minimised, I want to move it. Oh, you bugger. Because I've got a portrait monitor over to the right, it's decided to place this off the page. Minimise, no. Maximise, can I grab that? Oh, that's what I want to do. Thank you. Right. I don't want full screen, but I want new window. No. I'll just have to do it like this. It still was. There we go. That's about as large as we're going to get it. View, page, 2 up. There we go. There we go. So we could actually... Are you having fun? Any score for the chain next Sunday? Hi, Leif. Yes, it is going to be The Pelican Brief, James Horner. No specific cue selected yet, so if you have any favourites, do let me know in the comments and I'll check those out. But for now, let us sign off with the takeoff scene from Memphis Belle. One thing I wanted to say actually while I think of it, look out for the moment that the Memphis Belle actually lifts off from the ground. Depicted in the music by change in tone and tempo, right on the moment of takeoff, whereas if you compare that to James Horner's score from The Rocketeer, the opening scene of that where you have the test flight take off, the moment where the plane leaves the ground is just before the change in the tone of the music, and therefore where the way James does it, you have, I think it's just brilliant, this sort of moment of almost sort of weightlessness, and then the music kicks off, whereas in this the change in tempo goes suddenly sort of slower and broader, and that gives that feeling of weightlessness. So the two things done in a different way. Very interesting, I think. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I will see you again next time. Thank you very much for sticking with me to the end, and have a great week. Ciao. No, there's no sound. What? What is going on? Audio. Oh man, this was working perfectly earlier. Right. Oh no, that's really annoying. Okay, let's do this. Sorry, we'll go for plan B. Can I do it there, there, that. Memphis Belle. Take off. Okay. Right. Mini player. Is that going to work? No, do it that way. Sorry, best laid plans. We'll pinch it from YouTube. There we go. Okay. Second time lucky. I'll disappear as I make sure that the sound is working on this. Oh yes. See you next time.
must go.